All right. Now it gives me immense pleasure, and it's actually a great honor um, for me to introduce one of my favorite singers in India. Her name is Sonam Kalra. She's a multi award winning Sufi singer, songwriter, composer, and humanitarian. She is inspired and inspiring, a youth icon, and a spiritual reawakener. She is well known all over the world for her magnificent performances with the Sufi Gospel Project. She is acclaimed as a versatile singer and composer, a musician with a message expressing her learnings from her creative and spiritual journey through her music and her words. The resonance of her music has touched people's hearts all over the world. Her engaging and deep connection with her art and its message translates into a distinctive sound which has earned her critical praise and multiple awards. It has taken her to prestigious stages, festivals, and venues across 30 countries, including the Sydney Opera House, MTV's Coke Studio, and many more. Sonam has shared the stage with legendary musicians like Sir Bob Geldof and Sufi legend Abida Parveen. She has performed at the World Sufi Peace Festival at the Pyramids, the Royal Opera House, Cairo, Muzaffar Ali's World Sufi Festival, Jahan e Khusrau, the World Sufi Spirit Festival in Jodhpur, the International Fairs Festival for Peace in Pakistan, and the Indo African Summit for the Indian Prime Minister, President of India, and the 52 heads of the African states. Sonam has been felicitated with many awards, including the Femina Woman of Worth Award, the Indian Express Devi Award, the FICCI Young Women of Achiever Award for her work in the field of music, and the Global Win Award for inspiring women worldwide. True to her beliefs, Sonam uses her strong voice to speak out on a range of issues from child abuse, women's rights, animal rights, and to helping raise money for cancer charities and education for children. Sonam is a regular TED Talk speaker and has been invited to share her message of inclusion at many conferences, including media legend Tina Brown's Women in the World Summit, the Economic Times Women's Forum, and numerous WIN conferences worldwide. So it is an honor to have you here today and share your perspective on drugs.
Thank you so much, Avi. That was such a glowing sort of introduction. Thank you, Vasu. It's really kind of you to invite me to speak on a subject I know so little about. As I said, I'm not an expert like Mr. Gandhi or any of the other esteemed panelists on this Zoom webinar that we're having. I can only give you a musician's perspective and a human perspective on how I feel about drugs. Avi, maybe we could do this as a question
Yes.
answer like we talked about. So
My first question was the reason we wanted, to have you to hear your opinion was because artists and creative people are, I think, most vulnerable to getting onto drugs for some reason. So when I was in Bombay, I met with a lot of actors, struggling actors, uh, who were there for 5 years, 10 years, in Bollywood, and they were, just doing drugs every day. And even singers, like it's kind of like a thing. If you're a creative, you have to do drugs. So I just wanted to know from you, like, what's up with that?
well, I think I must be really different in that respect because I never wanted to even try drugs in my entire life. And I'll tell you the reasons for that. Perhaps A, it was the upbringing that I had, where in my house, my parents always said that you must be able to talk to us about anything. And also, don't do anything that you think you can't talk to us about. So I have this memory of, I think, in college. And I come from a Sikh family. There was no smoking ever. And it's not like I had strict parents. I literally had the most liberal parents I think anyone could ever have had the good fortune to have. We were going on a train to Goa, and I had three other friends with me. It was a coupe or whatever, and they all pulled out a cigarette and they passed the cigarette around, and it came to my hands, and I remember holding it in my fingers, bringing it close to my lips, and then not even being able to touch it because I said, "What will I be able to tell my parents this? Will they be okay with it?" And when I realized that no, this will break their hearts because they expect me to live my life to its greatest potential. And by doing something, by choosing a substance that I can be dependent on, then I will be stopping myself from living my life to its greatest potential. So I handed the cigarette back to a friend and I said, look, guys, I can't do this because I'm not going to be able to tell my mother I did this, and I don't lie to her. So that was one, it was the upbringing. Two, fortunately for me, I'm really allergic to the smell of smoke. I've never wanted to do it. Three, I think I like to be, I'm a little bit of a control freak in as much that I'm a perfectionist. So I like to be in control of my persona on stage. I like my brain. I like my brain. Let me repeat this. And I think most of us like our brains. And therefore, I don't want my brain to be confused or to be standing on stage not knowing what I'm saying, to not be in control. So I don't actually understand why musicians feel that it's okay to go out there, to not be in control, to not deliver the best. In fact, as Mr. Gandhi said, look for natural substances. For me, music is my drug. Music actually scientifically produces dopamine. So when you listen to music as well, it releases dopamine in your body. Now, if it's releasing happy hormone in your body, why do you need something to depend on it? So I actually, all the musicians who actually work with me, they are told at the very beginning, look, if you guys want to do drugs, we're not going to work together. It wastes your time. I remember having a conversation with someone about E, and I thought it was the weirdest conversation because this person, we were at a party and they said, Sonam, you have to try E, ecstasy. It's amazing. And I said, so what's so great about it? So he said, as a musician, it'll be amazing for you because you'll have ecstasy, then you'll produce this great music to 100% or even more of your ability, and then you'll get really tired, and then you'll go to sleep for approximately like maybe 24 hours, and then you'll wake up really hungry. So I said, hold on a minute, you've just told me I'll lose 2 days of my life. I said, I'm not ready to do that. I am here in this avatar as Sonam Kalra, as a musician, for an infinite, for a finite amount of time, right? I don't know what that time is. And I'm going to use each day to produce beautiful music. And I will not let the struggles of my life allow me to, and forgive me when I say this, I'm not passing judgment here, but I think you allow yourself to be weak when you succumb to substance abuse. And honestly, I don't believe that anyone, no matter what their situation is, should allow themselves the indulgence, and I would say the indulgence to be weak, because we all go through the most difficult time. I have gone through losing my mother to cancer, watching her battle it for 8 years. I've gone through losing my father 2 years after that. I almost died in the tsunami. I mean, the list, I've had an accident with an elephant where I was laid up, and it's quite funny, but I was laid up in bed for like 3 months. I can tell you, all of us, and I'm just sharing, I lived through the 1984 riots where the next house that was going to be, just massacred was mine. I can tell you we've all lived through these really difficult times, but never once, and this is something you have to train your mind to do, as Mr. Gandhi said, never once did I say, oh, I must allow myself to feel better. You can make yourself feel better. You can be your own drug. And honestly, to me, life is the greatest drug. The fact that I know that there is going to be something for me to look forward to, that I can make something happen in my life. Now, even talking about alcohol, when I started singing professionally, I found that if I had a lot of alcohol and I went to a party or I was in a bar, because of the noise, I spoke really loudly. And because I spoke loudly, when I came back, either I was shouting to be heard because the music was so loud. I came back, and one of the things I stopped doing was I stopped going out as much and I stopped drinking completely. And all my friends said to me, my God, Sonam, what a sacrifice. And I said, actually, it's no sacrifice. It hasn't even felt like it was the least bit uncomfortable, because for me it was very clear what was more important to me. You have to choose your priorities. My life, my work, my music, which is my lifeblood, it is what I breathe, that living through my music was more important to me. So you have to find that one thing. And honestly, I don't even think it's correct to say, because some people aren't musicians, some people are just, they have regular jobs and they work and they get depressed because somebody breaks up with them. Firstly, you have to understand that the gift of life is honestly the most valuable life you can have. The gift of a healthy life, even more valuable. If people are feeling bad about themselves, go on to YouTube and listen to the conversations. Listen to Deepa Malik, a paraplegic, talk about her life, where she was paralyzed from neck down. And she still went on to win the Olympics. She went on to get a car made for herself that she could actually win a rally, a car rally from. I mean, the stories that Deepa Malik has are endless. I'm just giving you one example. don't give up and succumb. And also, I understand a lot of people do it socially. I honestly, when you know, as Mr. Gandhi said, and I'm constantly taking his name because I miss what everyone else had to say. But if you know, and you all know, even having paracetamol every day is going to be detrimental to you. Everyone's so diet conscious. They're like, we won't have fried food. So you're smart enough to know what is detrimental to you. If you know what is detrimental to you, then you're being foolish and you're ruining your chance at a good life. And for someone to believe that one is not going to damage you, I'm sorry, it will. Alcohol dehydrates your brain cells. Even alcohol damages you. So I'm not going to say alcohol in moderation. I personally believe any kind of substance abuse, especially alcohol abuse, is terrible. But even with drugs, I think just steer clear of them. You have enough in this life to find joy in and to find goodness in. And I have seen the musicians who have drugs. You can have a rehearsal which is 3 hours long, and you can be really productive in those 3 hours. And you can have a musician on drugs who's with you in that 3 hour rehearsal, and your whole rehearsal gets slowed down because that musician is following things slower because his brain is functioning slower. So honestly, I have zero tolerance for drugs, and um, that's just how I feel.
Wow, that is so true. Thank you so much. That was actually eye-opening. You say that you're not an expert, but you kind of are, like,
I feel
speaking
like
from.
an expert. I
Yeah.
feel like a little bit of a school teacher, wagging my finger at anyone who thinks that
Yeah, look,
life is not important enough. Honestly, I think the message is that you have to choose life, and you have to choose a full life versus a half-baked life where you are baked out of your mind. So choose life. And if you choose life and you choose to live your life to the best potential because you know you have only this life, then if you continue to make the mistakes, you're the fool.
that's so true. You're awesome. Thank you.
Sweetie.
That's so great. Just one last question I have.
Please.
I think, which is like the main question for an artist, is that it's said again and again that creativity is enhanced or whatever, like with drugs. But like I've seen you. Where does your creativity come from? Like when I saw you on stage, the power that comes from inside you, the way it touched me, where does that come from? And like can people actually harness that without drugs?
Well, firstly, thank you for saying that's really sweet. But I think that my creativity comes from a couple of places. I think I often get asked where I get inspired from, and I'm truly, Avi, I don't lie to you when I say I'm inspired by life and all that is around me. I'm inspired by this conversation you and I are having. I'm inspired that you would all care enough to do something like this. I'm inspired by the goodness of people. I'm inspired by the kindness of people, by conversations I have with people. I can be inspired. And I learned this, I think, from my parents. I remember when my mother was going through her toughest time fighting cancer in the most incredibly positive way. So I learned positivity from my parents. But she would still, in her pain, be able to look at a beautiful bird and say, "My God, look at that beautiful bird out there." She had tubes coming out of her, but she could see the beauty in life. So I think I'm constantly inspired by life. I have 5 wonderful dogs that I adore. So you know what? You need a drug. Get the love of a dog in your life. They're called Garbar, Chutney, Ladka, Ladki, and Chokra. I've just had a baby girl. She's called Noor. I have a husband who makes ice cream now. He didn't always make ice cream. So what can I not be inspired by? I mean, I've got ice cream at home. I've got music. I've got dogs. I've got a baby. I have wonderful friends like you who reach out to me. Like I said, I have music. And I think that it's really important. I say this to everyone. We are all born with our own GPS. And your own GPS is really simple. It's a place deep in your heart, in your core. Whenever you are about to do something that you know is wrong or it's going to be detrimental to you, your GPS will tell you. It's the voice inside your head that you try and shut out. But stop and listen to that voice because it's going to tell you that this is bad for you. Don't listen to all the voices outside. You don't need to please the world. You don't need to be your uniqueness is what makes you special. So if you feel like, oh, if I don't do drugs, I won't belong, that's okay to not belong. I don't belong. I started something that was completely different with the Sufi Gospel Project. And I'm really happy. I would rather be unique and be true to myself than belong and be part of the herd. I don't want to be that. I want my life at the end of my life to amount to something. So I think that for me has always been an inspiring thought. And I'm, like I said, be inspired in being able to see God in yourself, God in other people, in goodness. And if you see the divinity in you, if you know you are on this planet, each of us has a purpose. Without trying to sound like a mystic or something, each of us in this life has a purpose. There is a reason we are here. And if you can make your life amount to something in whichever small way, big way, then you know it's been a life well lived. It's been a life worth living. So all these things, I think, inspire me. And I do hope that when people go through a really difficult time, and I know that's possibly that and social drug abuse, when you go through a difficult time, you have the support of family and friends, as Mr. Gandhi said. But even if you don't, remember that you have the support of you, and you are so much stronger. You are so much stronger than you think. And I know that my mother, again, I keep coming back to what my mother said. She said that when she got cancer, she said to me, she said, Sonam, and she got, from being a non-smoker, she got fourth stage lung cancer. And when it was detected, she was told, you have 4 months to live. Now, my mother beat it for 8 years with positivity. She was a miracle as far as the doctors were concerned. And she always said to me, she said that you have to be able to find your purpose in life. You have to be able to find your positivity. You have to be able to know that something is given to you in life, a difficulty, a struggle is given to you in life only because God, if you believe in God, or the universe believes that you can handle it. So don't succumb. And honestly, there's a lovely quote which I'll leave you with, and I hope that it helps people who are going through difficult times. Rumi, who is a beautiful Sufi poet, who I'm sure you're aware of, Rumi says, the wound is the place the light enters you. So only if you go through the deepest struggle, only if you go through pain, will you come out more enlightened, stronger, ready to face the next challenge of your life. But don't stop living, and don't give up on your life just by doing drugs or succumbing to drugs or succumbing to a weakness or a difficult time. Please, that's my appeal to you. You are beautiful in the avatar that you are born in, and live your life to its greatest potential.
It's beautiful.
Made my day. This was like, just like your songs, heart touching.
So sweet. Thank you.
Vasiji, you wanted to say something?
I was just wondering whether Sonam could give us a verse
I
in song.
Unfortunately, I'm not hooked up today because
Okay.
I'm in a different location. But we can do another one. We'll talk about
Yes.
doing something maybe to raise funds or something. Let's see if
For
we can
sure.
talk about that.
Awesome. This is really awesome and inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your
No.
valuable time, and your insights were better than experts. So,
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Not better than Mr. Gandhi's, who I heard. But thank you.
Each insight has been valuable,
No,
each and every one of
Thank you
them.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.